Are you feeling overwhelmed trying to juggle books, book clubs, activities, everything for daily 5 book clubs? Well, imagine having a simple plan that would make everything streamlined inside of your literacy block, run your book club smoothly, and you could repeat the process year after year. By the end of this video, you're gonna have a clear, organized plan to make a calendar that's gonna help you run book clubs with your students, and they will love every activity that you do, and you'll actually enjoy planning it. Stay till the end because I'm gonna share with you my favorite way to plan daily 5 book clubs that makes planning a breeze. Let's get started. Hey teacher friend, welcome back to my channel. I'm Molly and I'm a 5th grade teacher, and today we're going to dive more into helpful tips that are going to help you with daily 5. Now, last week I had a video on how to plan out themes for daily 5 book clubs. Let's bring back the thematic planning. So if you missed that one, you might want to check that one out. But today we're going to talk about how to create a monthly calendar that's going to help keep you organized for your book club so that you're not scratching your head on what to do and having students running around your room crazy, and there's going to be an organizational process that you're going to rinse and repeat every single year. So a monthly calendar isn't just about organization, it's about creating a roadmap for your classroom so that next year your life is so much easier. This is my 11th year teaching, and I don't know about you, but I want to have a repeatable process so that every year gets a little bit easier on the logistical side of my classroom. I know behaviors are always going to change and test scores and standardized things that I have no control over, but I can control the systems and processes inside of my classroom, and that's why I'm a huge proponent of using the daily 5 for your literacy block. With a clear plan, you're going to reduce your stress, you're going to stay on track with your themes, and make sure your students hit key literacy milestones. Plus, it helps you identify any gaps, and you can have early and proactive planning to help with those gaps. That's what I love the most about it. It's going to help you become a better teacher. The benefits of having a calendar for your book club planning is we're going to have structure and time saving. Oh, I love that because we don't get enough time as teachers to plan, and it's going to give you a clear focus that maybe you're missing right now. I know I was when I started this process, and now that I have it, it's like I couldn't live without it. It's going to help align your themes with curriculum and school events too. So looking at a few months ahead of time and just planning things out is going to give you such peace of mind. All right, so we're going to start first with looking at the big picture. Start by deciding on a theme for every month, and this might mean you're getting out your literacy curriculum books. Mine have like 5, I think, different books, so every month there's a new book that I have to grab. It's a big curriculum set for me as the teacher. So if I have that all mapped out ahead of time, I know what the themes are that I want to focus on for every month. I'm going to set aside those resources that are going to come in handy. They could be tied though to seasons, holidays, or specific skills that you need your students to work on. This is really going to be dependent on what you need to accomplish in your classroom based on what you're told you need to do by your district. I'm going to give you some examples though because you know I love those. So let's say December, your theme could be giving and gratitude, while March might be a focus on growth and new beginnings. Those are just big picture umbrella ideas, but I'm trying to tie in that thematic part back to this planning, and that way it's a little bit easier for you to visualize and make a conception of what you want your year-long plan to look like. I did give a few examples last week using learning standards, actually pulling those from Common Core and the video that I made about thematic planning, so go check that out if you're like, I'm struggling with how to do this. I show you how to do it in that video. So to recap this one tip, we're going to choose those monthly themes. We're going to align it with the school calendar and our curriculum goals. And the themes could include words like courage, nature, teamwork. It just depends on what your focus is for your year with your students. All right, our next step is we need to select the books for the month. Once you have a theme, it's time to choose those books. I like to pick a mix of like different read alouds that I'm going to do, group reads, independent reading options that align with a theme, and of course, when I say group, I mean book clubs. I need to know ahead of time how I'm going to tie that all in, and the more I can tie these things together, the easier it is for your students to learn and make those connections. I also like to include books books that have a variety of levels so that every student can feel successful, and I'm differentiating in that way. I do talk about my favorite book recommendations for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. I have a whole video for that, as well as a list of my favorite books, so you can just click and buy the ones that you want as well. Once I talk about why I like them, you might be like, hey, I need to try those books. So I'll leave that in the description box below for you. I think part of this process too is choosing 2 to 3 anchor texts for group discussion. If you have a really great curriculum, it's already done that for you, which is so nice, and it provides the book. But a lot of times it does not. And so if you're planning a theme, this is where this gets incredibly easier for you over time to pull books and just making these notes. And that's why we're planning this out ahead of time, so that next year your life is going to be so much easier. You're going to say, okay, the theme was friendship, and this is how I tied this in. This is the anchor text I use. These are the book club books I use. And these are the independent reading options I gave to my students if they wanted to have more ways to tie back to the theme. I think it's important too to include authors with diverse perspectives and backgrounds as well. And I know that you could probably talk to your school librarian to get some recommendations on that, and they could help you put together a theme. The next part of this is going to be planning out our daily 5 activities. This is the fun part, really, designing activities for every rotation. Again, they're always going to stay the same. For daily 5, you're going to do read to self, work on writing, book club, but you can make it more thematic and plan it out ahead of time. And this is where the planning really does come into play. It's not something that you could just whip up 10 minutes before your students walk in the door. For each component of daily 5, you can create activities that reinforce the theme, connect to the books that you've already chosen. And now I will tell you, I applaud you for watching this video, because this is truly next level for your literacy block. And if you have a teammate that you could plan this out with, think about how much fun you could have, and again, how easy it's going to make your lives next year, doing a little bit up front. Do I think that you need to plan out the entire year right now? No. Would it be nice to have a glance at the whole year? Absolutely. But if 1 or 2 months ahead of time is as much as you can handle, then just start there and take a baby step, and don't overwhelm yourself with planning the entire year. Okay, back to the choices. Now, of course, I'm always going to have these up on the smartboard. That never changes. So my students know in the classroom where to go. They know when they have word work or read to self or listen to reading, because it's projected. This is not going to change based on the activity being different. Just because they have read to self doesn't mean I'm going to change out the title of the book on the chart. They're in charge of what they're going to read to self. And that's part of the building stamina and creating autonomy in your learning for your students. So I don't want you to get conflicted on that. Keep the choices the same, but within those choices, they will have different activities. So some examples of things that you could do that would help plan the theme and get it all ready to go is, for read to self, they could have a themed journal every month. And that could be tied back to the book that they were choosing for independent reading that also goes along with the theme. Just an idea, or they can just completely read to self whatever they want to. That's up to you as the teacher. Read to someone, or sometimes called read to friend, not my favorite if you've seen any of my other videos, but you could have some kind of partner discussion on the characters or theme. If you are going to do this for a thematic planning, I would definitely make the partner talk totally intentional, having discussion cards for them so that they are not just sitting and talking. And I know we want them to have those friendship connection times, but that's what lunch and recess are for. So you have to make read to someone very intentional and purposeful. Work on writing could be different prompts that encourage them to write about things that are going on in the theme. Like, for example, write about a time where you showed courage, and then compare it to the character in the book or something. Of course, you can just keep work on writing the absolute same and use the writing prompts that come in the Daily 5 toolkit. That's what I usually do. But again, if you're trying to make a whole theme out of this and really jazz it up, you could change the writing prompts out. It just depends on what you have time for and what you think is manageable. Word work, a great way to tie it back into the theme is just having vocabulary tied to the books or the theme. That's an easy one to do. But if you're like me and your word work is already part of your curriculum, you likely have to follow that because there's very intentional skills that you are teaching your students that tied back into the science of reading that goes into the curriculum. And then of course, listen to reading is likely definitely one of their favorites. You could have different audiobooks or podcasts even that are thematic and relate back to what your theme is for the month. For example, if your theme is courage, you could have your students read the story of Ruby Bridges, definitely one of my favorite, and journal about a time that they showed courage in their own lives. I love including historical people inside of Daily 5. It's a way to tether social studies, learning standards into your reading and writing of Daily 5. And so if you can have a thematic, let's say Black History Month or Women's History Month, you could have somebody like Ruby Bridges as one of the activities that they do. And the activity that I showed you right now in this video, you can grab in the description box below and do with your students during Daily 5. All right, step number 5, we're gonna map it all out. It's time for it all to come together. And this is the part where everything you just learned, you have to put into play and not overthink it. So something I like to do is have either in my teacher planner, I've got every month in the calendar part, or you can print calendars off of Canva. That's really easy to do. But starting with the whole month can feel overwhelming. What if you did 1 week at a time? My favorite way to do this is using my Daily 5 lesson planner, which is a free template that you can actually grab. I'll put it in the description box below. You can use it for all of your Daily 5 planning, but you could do 1 week at a time. Let's say there's 4 weeks in the month. You could plan out 1 week at a time, like I keep saying, and then have it all together on your monthly calendar with your themes. So that's one way to take one little chunk and make it bite size. So a way to make it flexible though and manageable is assigning books or activities to specific days of the week so that you're not constantly running around trying to prep things. You know, okay, on this day we're going to do this. I have it planned ahead of time. That's the whole point of having this bigger plan, is so that it makes it easier for you when you have your planned time to actually prep things. Like I mentioned before, I like planning 1 week at a time, printing it on paper and having that available, and then I could save it for the next year. I could make it digital. Let's say during the summer, if I want to type up everything and have it in one place as a digital lesson planner, I've got it all together. But it comes in Google as well if you are a digital planning person and you want to have a digital copy. Okay, so example. Here's a plan that you could use. This is just, again, an example. So take it or leave it. Week 1, you could introduce the theme and the anchor text. That's all you're worried about, is just these baby steps. Week 2, you could dive into the activities for read to self and read to someone. Week 3, you could expand with writing and word work. And week 4, wrap up with reflection and creative projects. So that is just one way you could do that. Or you could every week have the same choices and just change those out. The key here is that you'll have to explicitly model. For example, if you are doing the Ruby Bridges activity, you would show your students who are doing that activity ahead of time so that they know how to do it. Because the whole point of Daily 5 is that your students are working independently and not coming up to your teacher table while you're pulling book clubs and interrupting and making the learning process a lot harder for the students at your table and making you more frustrated as the teacher. The last part, I want to encourage you to just have some time for reflection so you can make adjustments, you know, asking yourself, making notes on your planner, what worked well, what didn't, what could I change next time, so that next year you're like even more streamlined and efficient. And you can get feedback from your students and use it to plan better for the next month and help have them be a part of that process. And they actually love that. If you've never done that before, I'm going to encourage you to try it. Of course, we want to celebrate successes with our students while we're getting our feedback from them and tell them how well everything went, how proud you are of them, especially if they've never done a theme before. This is a great time to talk about it as a whole group. Creating a monthly book club calendar might take a little bit of extra effort up front, but the payoff is worth it. And that's what I always say about Daily 5 as a system to structure your literacy block. It is a lot of work up front, but the payoff is worth it. It pays you dividends. It's like investing money and knowing in the future that you're going to have a lot more money. It's just the perfect solution to running your literacy block. I haven't found anything else that works quite like it. And I know you're watching this video because you want to enhance your Daily 5 time by including a theme and changing things up. And what a fun way to do that with your students' help. Of course, your students are going to thrive in a structured environment and feel more confident every step of the way when things are organized. And that's where coming in with a plan, and just even if it's that month ahead of time, is going to help you you and them. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a teacher friend, and let me know in the comments what theme you're going to do next in your classroom. I'd love to hear all about it. And remember, anything that I mentioned in this video, including the free Daily 5 lesson planner, is in the description box below. And everything that I have created for my own literacy block, my Daily 5 time, is all available to you. Whenever I mention something, there's likely going to be a link to it so you can grab it and implement it in your own classroom. Thanks so much for watching and just being here. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you next week.